Thanks. Okay. Correspondence, Ms. Nelson, was there any? Okay, thank you. We entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda, please.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Is there a second? Moved by Mark, seconded by Dana to approve the consent agenda as presented. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Up to our curriculum reports, and first up is community and schools.
Appreciate you having us tonight. Garden City High School, a large, diverse school, and as big as our diversity is, so is the needs of a lot of the students who come to our school each day. And to meet the needs of those students, we work with a number of different organizations, and you've heard from some of them this year. Earlier this year, JAG, Jobs for America's Graduates, they presented, and they do great work in our school to meet certain needs of kids. And another group that has just been really great working with our students and meeting a really diverse amount of needs. Academic, interpersonal, social, they really hit a number of different things that, to help our students and to serve our students is the Communities and Schools program. And the person that coordinates and facilitates at Garden City High School the Communities and Schools program is Chris Ayers. And Chris, you've been, this is your third year, fourth year? Fourth year at Garden City High School. And so we're really fortunate to have Chris and all the different things that he does for the school. And I'm sure you'll feel the same way when he's done kind of giving you a brief overview of Communities and Schools.
As he mentioned, Communities and Schools is a program that works with students with a variety of needs in Garden City High School. We are a nationwide dropout prevention program. In fact, we're the largest dropout prevention program in the nation. In the state of Kansas and throughout several surrounding states. Our main office is located in Lawrence, and Communities and Schools of Mid-America works with schools in Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. Our mission statement is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. And in order to further that mission, we focus on what we call our 5 basics. We seek to provide students with a one-on-one relationship with a caring adult, a safe place to learn and grow, a healthy start and a healthy future, a marketable skill to use upon graduation, and a chance to give back to peers and community. And so each of our programs that we have in Garden City High School are designed to further these 5 basics. Our services are broken down into 3 tiers. Our Tier 1 services are available to the entire school. We have several programs that are offered throughout the school year, and they're open to anybody. Tier 2 are targeted services that are provided in a group setting, and so they allow students that have common needs to be able to work together and get services together as a small group. And then finally we have our Tier 3 services, which are our case managed students. These are students that I work with one-on-one in order to address a variety of needs. Some of the services that we provide. We provide mentoring and or counseling, and I would put more of an emphasis on mentoring as I'm not a licensed counselor. Also health, vision, and dental services. We will refer students as needed to receive services from various providers in the community. Education and employment assistance, nutritional assistance, provisions of school supplies and clothing. We have, within my office, we have a clothing closet that students can come get any clothing that they might need. We have a food bank in there. We have a large variety of school supplies available. Even if they just need a bottle of water, they can come get that from my office. Assistance with transportation is needed. Parent education and enrichment, behavior interventions, individual case management, truancy prevention, and as needed referrals to community resources. So briefly, I'd like to talk about some of the programs that we have. These are some of the Tier 1 programs that we are providing currently. One of our biggest programs that we do each year is Future Now Finance. It was previously called Reality U. It's a financial literacy course that is offered to students in the Freshman Academy each year. At this event, the students are given hypothetical profiles that reflect what their life might look like when they're 26 years old. It has information about what kind of career they might have, what kind of salary they might make. Excuse me. Whether they're married or not, how many children they have. They take this information to stations that are run by volunteers from the community who will sell them things such as housing and utilities, transportation, insurance, things that everyone has to purchase to be able to live. And so then they have to budget their money. They have to budget their monthly salary and meet all of their needs. This year, that program is going to be held on March 8th and 9th. And this is the time of year when I am looking for volunteers to fill those stations. If any of you are interested in helping us out with that this year, feel free to contact me. My email address, chris.ayers@swks.cis Mid-America. Thank you very much. At cismidamerica.org, or you can reach me at my phone number there on the screen. Forgive me, I'm recovering from a cold that will not go away, so my voice is a bit hoarse tonight. Save Your Grades is a program that we host once a quarter. It's a chance for students to work on missing or late work and get caught up on some of their classes before the end of the grading period. We have teachers that volunteer their time to help tutor students, and then we feed everybody at the end of the event. So it's a chance for students to get caught up on work, but it's also a chance for students to get a meal before they go home as well. Why Try is a resilience education course where we work with students to help them learn that whatever problems they might face in their personal lives or whatever mistakes they might have made do not have to be a barrier to their success. And so students that come to Why Try are referred to us through the truancy court, and as part of their requirements for the court, they must complete the Why Try class. Topics that we go over with those students include how to stay motivated, how to resist peer pressure, how to control their defense mechanisms so that when they start to get angry in class, they don't jump up and blow up at their teacher, how they can overcome obstacles in their lives, and so forth. One program that is kind of new this year is the Weather Ready Nation Ambassadors. The Weather Ready Nation Ambassadors is actually a program that was started by the National Weather Service. And this is kind of a personal project of mine. I personally desire to see everybody know how to stay safe in various types of weather. And so I decided this was something that I could do through communities and schools to not only help educate students on weather safety, but also give students a chance to complete some community service by teaching weather safety to their fellow students. And so we have partnered with the National Weather Service, and we have through them the official designation of Weather Ready Nation ambassadors, and we so far have only given programs to classes within the high school. We would like eventually to go to some of the elementary schools and the middle schools as well and present to those students as well. We from time to time bring in people to lead assemblies. Earlier this year, we brought a band from Fort Wayne, Indiana called the Attaboy. They travel around the country and perform at schools to share a message about making positive choices. It was a great show. I think the students really got a lot out of it, and I heard a lot of positive feedback on that program. We are already looking at bringing them back again next year. They were only able to perform for one academy in the high school this year. We'd like to bring them back and perform for the other three. We have a girls group. In the past, this was led by Mrs. Nanninga, and she chose to step away from that this year, and so we have brought in an alum of CIS and a recent graduate of GCHS, Marixa Reyes, to lead that group, and she's doing a great job with it so far. She's got a fairly small group so far, but she is meeting with them once a week, and they talk about a variety of topics that I'm frankly not qualified to discuss. So, finally, case management, and really this is the heart of what we do. I work with 86 students this year, and I work with them on setting goals. We discuss what possible needs they might have that are standing in the way of their success. I keep up on their grades and their attendance and their behavior, and go over those things with them. I try to meet with each one at least once a month, so that we can stay on top of their work and be able to help them be successful in school. Of our caseload students last school year, 87% of them improved academically. 100% of our seniors graduated. 90% of the caseload students were promoted to the next grade. 99% of the caseload students stayed in school. For many of those students, that is a very impressive feat, because a lot of students, when they come to me, they are ready to leave. And so we work hard in CIS to keep those at-risk students in school so that they have a shot at being successful in life. I greatly appreciate the board's support, and we couldn't do what we do without the support of the school board and the district, and so I am very grateful for that. If you have any questions at this time, I'd be glad to answer them.
I'd just like to add, because he didn't give himself enough credit, but every year the state comes out and usually meets with Dr. Carlin and I just to go over data and stuff of CIS, and they brag on Chris every year because he's the first to get in paperwork. He just does an outstanding job. I think Garden City's probably one of the most successful CIS programs in the state, so nice job.
Thank you.
He may not be very popular with his CIS colleagues because they consistently tell us that he takes on a higher caseload
Yes.
than any of his peers out there too, so we appreciate that. You know, it goes without saying, it's just wonderful to have you there. I'm curious, not only, in spirit, but how do we support you as a district? Is it financially? Do we have a budget that goes to them?
It's state funded, and a couple of years ago, it was a little iffy as to whether or not they were gonna keep on, and we kicked in some dollars and ended up not being able to sustain CIS at both the high school and the alternative because our numbers are good, and there's a movement now to really increase CIS funding across the state, I feel very confident that we're good to go.
Because, I mean, when you have a jewel of a program like that and very outstanding professionals working with our kids and our staff, you want to kind of keep it going and keep it growing, and also kudos to the volunteers that support as well. And so, that's sort of a budget question. Is there a budget question there in order to build on the success, or is it sort of out of our hands?
Chris he's not our employee. He's an employee of CIS, and so all of that cost is basically carried by the CIS program. And I think they do solicit some funding from organizations across the state, so we may have some local community members that are helping fund that effort. That information doesn't come to us. That's something that they do as part of their fundraising piece, as part of their program.
Well, and I don't have a direct hand in the fundraising. I can tell you that it is it's a mix of public and private funding. We get TANF funds through the Department of Children and Families, and that funds the bulk of our program, but we also receive funding through United Way and some other foundations in the region.
Well, I want to thank you for the Wi-Fi program. I do a lot of truancy work in one of my second job, as I call it. And I think we have seen less recidivism since you guys have taken it on at the high school students too. So thank you so much. That the legal community, as much as I currently done that.
Well, I strongly believe in the Y-Tri program. I've met the guy who created it, Christian Moore. I think that he has a tremendous program. It really gets to the heart of a lot of what many students face, and it's a program that it's used in a lot of schools, but it's not, it's not exclusive to schools. There are many adult organizations that use it as well. I know that also a lot of departments of corrections use the program. It's a great program, and if you're not familiar with it and you get a chance to research it, I would strongly encourage it. I think they really have a good thing going.
Do you work during the school year, or do you work January through December?
I work from August through June. So I work from August 1st to June 30th each year.
I-
Go ahead, Mike, go ahead.
I just have to ask, but to follow up, is there anything from your perspective that you need that would make it that much better if you had just a little bit more of something?
I feel like a lot of our needs are currently being met for the program. I feel like we have the things that we need in place so that we can provide the supports to students, and a lot of that was built up before I even got here. We've been present at GCHS, I believe, since 2011. I came on in 2014, and so much of what has made that program a success was already in place long before I arrived. The biggest challenge we face each year, quite honestly, is making sure that that all the financial needs are met to run the program. It costs $85,000 a year to run the CIS program in a school. I know that from discussions that I've had with people at our state office, we would love to be present in more schools in Garden City than we are. We would love to be back in the Alternative Center, back in Horace Good and Kenneth Henderson. One thing that really we would love to see someday is having 2 site coordinators at GCHS, because it is such a large school. It is difficult for one person to manage. Unfortunately, my caseload really can't go a whole lot higher than where it's at right now, because there comes a point where it becomes unmanageable for one person. But we've got less than 5% of the student body on caseload right now, and the need goes far beyond that.
You do so much in that program for our efforts to try to graduate every student. And as you sort of described in your presentation, some of those students really take your touch and that one-on-one and that communication of where they are, what they're dealing with, and how they can move forward, set goals and all of those things. And so I applaud you for that. I applaud the district for supporting the program, and that it's just a logical question to say, what can we do to be even more successful? I think you just answered it. Of course, the question is now, how do we chase that? So, thank you.
You said that you're not personally involved in fundraising or partnerships that are done with the private community. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So who is?
Our area director, Erin Novak, is in charge of that.
And Erin is based where?
She lives in Holcomb. She is over the programs here and at Dodge City and at Liberal.
And so her responsibility then is to work at trying to reach out to some of the private enterprises that we have in town for those type of partnerships.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yeah, that is really a big part of her job description, is making sure that the funding's in place so that we can run these programs.
And not to put you on the spot, but do you have any estimate of what percentage of your budget is coming from private partnerships?
I don't, not off the top of my head. Erin could answer that for you, and unfortunately she couldn't be here tonight. But no, I'm sorry, I don't have that answer.
Is it something that maybe we could chase? It would be interesting to know. Or I guess you've got the contact information in the flyer here. We could always give her a jingle too.
Well, that's kind of where my head was. There was, if financing is the biggest issue, and it'd just be interesting to know how much development of local financing there's been, or how much work there's been towards pursuing maybe new sources of partnerships with members of our community.
So again, that would be a question for Erin to answer. I don't have the answer for that question.
Okay, further questions?
Tim, I'd just like to draw the board's attention back to last fall. I think Renee gave a presentation about one of the measures that the State Department is using post-secondary success. And one of those pieces of data that she shared with us showed that Garden City exceeds the state average in our percentage of graduates that go on to some form of post-secondary training. And CIS is an example of one of the programs that contributes to those positive results. I can't say that they get all the credit, but there's a lot of things going on that are good, and each one of those contributes. But without CIS, I don't believe we would be exceeding the state average. And I think I can say that pretty confidently about many of the things that are happening at the high school. This is one piece of a real integrated effort to really support our students. So thank you, Chris, for all that you do.
I did have a quick question. Is CIS part of our website so that if people have questions or wanted more information, they could go onto the Garden City USD-457 website? Do you know? Or
I don't think
underneath
so.
the high school? Would it be possible to put a link to their information maybe at the high school or something so people could find that information in the community? That'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I would just like to mention too that Mr. Norby is incredibly supportive of these groups. And I know just as a volunteer, 5 to 7 girls can get a little out of hand. But, you know, there's always space for us to meet. They're very patient. He's always so just thankful. So, I mean, that matters, and I really appreciate that.
I would second that.
It takes a village.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norton. Thank you, Dana, for volunteering. That's awesome. All right, super. All kinds of good stuff tonight. All right, unfinished business, we have a long-range facility plan. We just need to approve that plan, is that right, Dr. Carlin, or is there a presentation?
No presentation, but I think John and KJ are both here to answer questions if you have any, but we are seeking the board's approval for that.
Is there any questions on the facility plan?
I think the clarity was from our earlier discussion that we're not hard and fast on approving numbers for projects, just the roadmap.
Because it'll come back to the board every time for approval of major projects.
So this gives us an opportunity to plan for the next year and what I maybe need to budget.
And tracking's been done in the past.
Correct, providing that roadmap and that historical data as well.
And I appreciate the modifications to the spreadsheet. I needed to clarify that.
Well, I think I did added a note at the bottom or at the top, maybe that it was just at the bottom. That had to do with, we weren't approving these at this point, it was just for budgeting purposes.
I know I'm on that long-range committee. Who's the other board member?
That's what I thought. Joe? I know some of the board had questions, and they forwarded those to Dr. Carlin. I think the majority's had a question of what was a partial rough. And so I appreciate you giving your answers back to us, and thank Mark and Jennifer for serving on the committee. I know you guys had a couple long meetings, especially during the holiday season, so we appreciate your time.
And the community members.
And the community, absolutely, absolutely. So, if there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the facility plan and give it to us, I guess.
I would so move.
Is there a second? Second by Mark. Been moved by Mark, seconded by Laura to approve the long-range facility plan for USD-457 as presented to us. Further discussion? Comment?
No.
Two thumbs up, all right. All right, all in favor of the motion, signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Good luck with all the work.
Yes. We will need that.
Your summer just got a lot busier.
Okay, up now is our transportation department by Mr. Charlie and his staff.
Good evening. Thank you for having me out tonight. One of the things when we made the change over to the standardized school schedule, you asked if I would come back at some point in time and tell you kind of how things are going. We kind of wanted to get an idea at transportation, how it was going, give us a semester to kind of see how things are going. So tonight I brought J.L. Ray, who's our administrative assistant, and Richard Janis is our driver trainer. He can speak kind of from the driver standpoint of things, and I'll speak from the other areas that we have, but we'll go ahead and get started on this. Some changes. We just basically changed or looked at last year to this year. One of the major components of this is we were looking at how many kids were on the bus, how many high school and middle school kids were on the buses with elementary school kids. That was a big issue with a lot of the parents. So we have 2016, 2017 over here for Horace Good students. And then we also included the Alternative Center High School students and TEP students with that. We had 67 middle school students going to school every morning with 70 elementary and TEP students. And then every night we had 15 middle school students riding home with about 70 elementary. We tried to get the middle schools home as fast as we could, but with Abe Hubert getting out at 3:40 and Horace Good getting out at 3:03, we just weren't able to get them home in time. So we had to come back and pick up those Abe Hubert students so they weren't standing out on the sidewalk. Same thing in Plymell, out in the south part of the county. 30 high school, middle school alternative students were riding to school every morning with 44 elementary students. and those same 30 were going home with about 20 elementary students. Jenny Barker, 23 high school, middle school students coming in with 60 elementary Bernadine Sit students. Those same 23 were going home with about 20. The numbers we're guesstimating, we've asked the drivers from those areas if they remember. We don't have the take-home routes from last year, so that was kind of a guesstimation on their part. So we go to this year, and actually we have 2 middle school and alternative school students riding home with 54 intermediate students. As of this morning, that's changed, or actually as of this afternoon. Those 2 are not riding home with intermediate school students anymore. We have another bus that is taking them home. So they're getting home a lot earlier. One of the middle school students wasn't getting home until close to 5 o'clock. Now they're getting home before 4 o'clock. So that was a change that we made just this afternoon. But we still do have the 5 middle school and high school students out in Plymell going home with about 45 elementary students. 4 of those middle school, high school students are riding home with a sibling. So it kind of works out that they're home with that younger sibling. And these are students that are living anywhere from 18 to 25 miles away from school. So it's very hard for us to get all the way out, drop off those high school, middle school students, and get back to Plymell in time. Jenny Barker, we have 5 going home with about 25 elementary students. And again, they're 16 to 20 miles out. And so this is kind of an overview. We had 120 going in with 174. We had 68 going out with 110. This year we have none riding with a lower school or a lower elementary. And we have 10 going home with 70. So we think we've done a fabulous job with that part. The other part was going to that system was going to allow us to have the same driver both morning and afternoon, and that was a really big issue for us. Last year, we figured up we had about 240 to 250 of our 2,403 students that rode the same bus to and from school. So about 12% of our population, or at least the population we were transporting. This year we're up to 2,243 out of 2,480. So we're up to 90% of our students are riding the same bus. If they don't, it's because we pulled them from their original bus to get them home in a shorter amount of time. We've looked at different things that we can do. We've changed some of those things, and we're just trying to make it a little more efficient for them to get home. One of our other areas that we wanted to improve in is getting students to school on time. Last year when we had all of the elementary schools that had different times across the board, anywhere from 7 o'clock with VO all the way to 8:30 with Edith Sharman, we were only getting 54%. We had 54% of all of our students were late for breakfast. So they were getting there after breakfast had started. Our target time is to get them there for the start of breakfast. So with the high school, the target time for breakfast is 7:15. Same with the middle schools. So we try to get them there at 7:15. Breakfast for the elementaries is 8 o'clock. Our target time is to get them there at 8 o'clock. This year we have 23 out of 998 that are getting there after 8 o'clock. And it's usually 8:05, 8:10, 8:15 at the latest, depending on how far we have to go. So we've gone from 54% last year to 2% this year with the standardized school start time. Last year, 11% at the high school, the middle schools were late. This year we're down to 2%. So again, we've done a fabulous job hitting our target times. The route length, the average time that the students are on the bus, one of our big goals, this is Garfield. Garfield is its own entity in and of itself. We try to do the best we can with Garfield. In the morning, we have 30 minutes from 8 o'clock to 8:30 to get them to school. So we try to make our route times 30 minutes. Every time Garfield adds a student, which they're adding students constantly, which is it's great for the program, it's great for those kids. Every time they add them, our times get pushed back just a little bit each time. So if they do a fabulous job working with us, Josh knows, he's like, we're adding more kids, and I'm like, your bus is gonna get there a little bit later, and he's okay with it. He grumbles, but he's still okay with it. Last year we had 16 buses. The average time of the Garfield kids was 36 minutes. We wanted to get that down. We've gone to 18 buses, and now we're under 30 minutes, the average time that the Garfield students are on a bus, so we've cut 7 minutes off of those. Our elementaries and our intermediate centers, we changed a lot on these. Some of them don't look as good as we would hope, but again, our target times for these routes were 45 minutes. And if you look, with the exception of one route, all of them have hit those, or are under those target times. When we started the Florence Wilson route, this is our self-contained kindergarten class. We wanted to have one bus for those students, and when they started adding students, so now we have students kind of all over the city and all over the county. So we have one bus. It's an hour and 5-minute route, so it is extremely long. But again, we've cut 6 buses away from taking kids into that. That's something that we can look at changing next year. We can start putting them all on a different bus, but we thought for the first year it would be good to have them on that one bus together. So otherwise, we're hitting all of our targets in a pretty good amount of time, and we've cut routes as we've gone. Except for Plymell and Jenny Barker, we added one more bus to each one of those just to hit our target time of 8 o'clock for breakfast. We were having some issues with just the amount of distance. We weren't getting there on time, so we added a bus to each one of those to cut down those times. And now we're hitting our 8 o'clock target. Middle school and high school, again, Horace Good, our target time is 50 minutes for the middle school and the high school. Horace Good is 1 minute over our target time, but with 4 fewer buses. Kenneth Henderson is 5 minutes over, but with 3 less buses. The high school, we've actually cut 7 minutes off their average time, and we have 1 fewer bus this year. And then our high school special, our self-contained, we've done away with 1 bus, 5 extra minutes, but again, we're under our target times, or at our target times on each one of these.
When you cut those buses, like on the high school, so are you saying you're putting more students on a bus, or you just eliminated students riding that bus so you don't need as many buses?
We actually, some of those students were not in the program this year, so we didn't have to go pick them up. So we had the need for 1 fewer bus.
Same with the other schools. I mean, so when you cut a bus, are there more kids riding the 2 buses now versus the 3 buses?
There are a few extra kids on each one, but the way the routes are drawn up, we're not cramming a bus full. We have the ability to go pick up more students now with the amount of time that we have. In the past, we were trying to go and pick up a certain group of kids so we could get them here to go back and pick up another group of kids for another school that started 10 minutes after that school got done. So this year we're able to get more of those students on the bus in the same neighborhood than we were last year. So we were sending, for Horace Good, for example, we were sending 2 buses to the same neighborhood to pick up students so that one could get done earlier so they could go pick up some more students from somewhere else. This year we don't have to do that because we have that 45-minute time period where we can go pick up those elementary students. One of the things that we found for this is our fuel consumption has gone down from last year from our route buses. If you look at our at our chart here. August and September, we were still kind of trying to find our way, trying to find out what was working, what was not. Once we finally got a lot of things tweaked and worked out, you can see that we made a big difference in October, where we were able to use less fuel in October of this year than we were last year, because we don't have as many buses running to a lot of areas, so we were able to cut that down. So we're happy with that. In summary, things that we're doing well, we're making our delivery times, again, within those 50 and 45-minute ranges. We're getting more students to school for the full breakfast, and majority of the students are on the same bus to and from school. Things that we need to work on is that we've had a different system now in place, and it kind of goes down here to Versatrans. The transportation department started using Versatrans in 2014, 2015. That was the year before I came on. If anybody remembers that year, if you were working here, that year was a nightmare. Just what they were doing, how we were doing it, getting kids transferring on and off buses at this school, at that school, picking up everybody in the same neighborhood and just transferring them off. So I come in 2015, 2016 and make a completely different change to that and say, no, we're going to pick up just those schools, just the kids for those schools. We did that 2 years in a row. We were getting better at it last year. Then we come in and we make a change for this year. So our routing secretary has had to learn 4 different methods in 5 years. So again, we're still working on this habit that's perpetuated. We're trying to break ourselves from that to say, no, now we know a better way to do it. And again, that's why transportation is it's not a static thing. We would love for it to be set in stone day one, first day of school. This is what it's going to be, and we don't have to make any changes throughout the rest of the year. We set it, we look at it.